This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Michael Shannon about The End. How are you, Michael?
Hey Abe, nice to see you.
You too. Can you tell me how this project came to you?
Well, I did a film with a director named Ramin Barani called 99 Homes, and then we did another film called Fahrenheit 451. And Ramin and Josh are friends, and Ramin was helping Josh put the film together, kind of as a, I don't know if he's technically a producer, but kind of overseeing it in a producerial fashion. And Ramin reached out to me and said, my friend Josh would really like to talk to you about a project that he's working on. And honestly, I had not seen Act of Killing or Look of Silence at that point. I only saw them after I signed on to the project, but I had heard about them. And yeah, I met Josh at a coffee shop near my house, and we had a lovely conversation. And then I read the script, and we went from there. Yeah.
I have seen those documentaries, and knowing that this was his film, I was not prepared at all because I think they're radically different. Do you see any through lines between those and this?
Well, I think I do really. I mean, particularly active killing, because as you know, as much as active killing is a documentary, there's also a lot of stagecraft in it, and the way that he gets the people that he's interviewing to reenact scenes from their past. There's a lovely, mysterious musical number at the beginning of Active Killing, if you recall, with a bunch of people standing on the side of a mountain singing a very pretty song. And um, yeah, I feel like that's part of Josh's aesthetic. I think he loves music, and he loves communicating through music, and he loves staging things. So Look of Silence was a bit more matter of fact, I think, without the staging and music and whatnot. But I definitely saw elements in Active Killing that reminded me of the end.
And how did you feel about doing a musical?
How do I feel about doing a musical? Well, I love music. I mean, music's my favorite thing. I think music is the highest accomplishment that human beings have managed thus far. It's always been dear to my heart. So I've been playing music longer than I've been acting. So I love the idea of participating in a musical.
I feel like I have seen you before in films that have something to do with the end of the world, like Take Shelter and Young Ones. Those are certainly very different. This feels very oddly luxurious for a post-apocalyptic kind of film. What was the filming experience like?
Well, yeah, I mean the sets are magnificent. The production designer is just out of this world. It was the first time we walked on the set, we were all a bit gobsmacked by it. But you know, we spent a lot of time on the set, and a lot of the numbers that we did took a lot of work and a lot of repetition to get them the way Josh wanted them. So it did come to feel a little bit like we were trapped in a way, which I thought was helpful. Because no matter how beautiful a place is, if you're stuck there for 25 years, sooner or later it's going to start to get on your nerves, as you can see with the how the mother character is struggling with her interior design.
Well, there's also a lot that we're supposed to know and sort of learn about these characters, but we still don't know their names. We don't know the exact circumstances of things. Did you, for yourself, have a more specific backstory with details, or you were okay with these sort of general ideas to build that character on?
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose anytime you play a part, you have to manufacture some sort of history for your character. But I mean, there's a very significant reason that the characters don't have names, because they're representative of not just one person, you know, they're representative of the archetypal roles in society. Um, and Yeah, we rehearsed for a few weeks actually before we started shooting, and we had a lot of discussions about history and the circumstances leading up to where you find the characters in the film. But uh, there are a lot of very elemental, primal themes, feelings in the film that hopefully are identifiable or accessible to a lot of people.
You also have some really fantastic co-stars, starting with Tilda Swinton. What is it like to get to work with her?
Oh, I adore Tilda, both as an artist and a person. She's one of the kindest people I've ever met, and so thoughtful and curious, and just really looks after everybody, very much like the mother hen, she she took great care of all of us, and yet was able to deliver such a phenomenal and complex performance, and she could just click in and out of it very easily. I mean, she's been doing this a while, and she's the utmost professional.
Well, George McKay is great also, but he has not been doing this for all that long. And, 1917 was a really great breakout for him. It's interesting to see the choices that he's making. What can you say about him?
I told George when I saw the film, I said, "You are the sun and of this film, and not just SON, but SUN. You are the thing that makes this film go. You are the thing we all orbit around. You are." I've never seen an actor, particularly a young actor, so committed and so delivered such a complex and nuanced performance. In kind of an impossible scenario. I mean, to try and imagine what that must be like, his life, his existence, having never seen the world, and um, it's a really demanding part, and I just feel like he brings so much specificity and detail to it, and so much love in him just radiates through the movie.
When did you have the chance to see the film on a big screen?
The first time I saw the finished film was at the Telluride Film Festival. Yeah.
What
And
was that experience like?
I had never been to Telluride before. It was my first time. I was under the impression that it was more for, directors and whatnot, but they invited me, and George and Moses were there. And yeah, it was very moving to see it on the big screen. I definitely think it's a film. I know pretty much everybody who's in any movie says this, but I really do think it's a film that needs to be seen on a big screen. And like Josh was saying at a screening that we had the other night, it's also a film I think that benefits from seeing it with other people, not just seeing it by yourself, because it really is about a scenario that we're all in the midst of currently, or potentially in the future. Yeah.
You feel like people responded to it the way that you expected, or people are laughing and reacting to different parts of it, etc.
I never expect anybody to react any particular way to anything I do. It's not helpful for me in my work to sit around anticipating people's responses to things. And I'm always tickled when I am surprised by a response. But there is a fair amount of humor in the film, and the two screenings I've seen so far, people are allowing themselves to enjoy that, which I think is important because it is kind of it can be kind of disconcerting otherwise.
Well, I've been watching you for many years, and you mentioned some of my favorite performances of yours before, like 99 Homes. I'm a big fan of Take Shelter. As you do interviews for new projects, I'm sure people ask you about, stuff you've done in the past. Is there anything that you're particularly proud of that you wish people would ask you about more often and that you could just, bring up and give more light to?
Hmm, what an interesting question. I try to approach what I do with a lot of humility because I think it's ultimately the wisest way to navigate this business. Um, I've done things that I've poured my heart into, and they haven't necessarily met with a widespread audience, and but I've gotten to the point where that doesn't necessarily surprise me anymore. I feel like the films that I feel like are the most, I don't know, significant in my canon, if you will, they usually find an audience sooner or later. I mean, that's the nice thing about films these days is they don't really disappear. Although it was interesting, I was talking to somebody yesterday that they said how much they wanted to see My Son, What Have You Done, the film I did with Werner Herzog, but that they couldn't find it on any streaming platforms or anything, and that kind of bummed me out because I think that's a wonderful film, and I want people to see it if they have the inclination. So that was a little mystifying to me.
Well, this is awards buzz, so I'm always curious, the people I'm talking to, what have you seen recently? Is there a film or performance that's really sticking with you as particularly awards worthy?
Well, that's interesting. Well, I went to see Amelia Perez, and I thought Zoe Saldana was magnificent. I didn't know she could sing and dance and do all the rest of that. I was really impressed with that. I was impressed with the whole cast of that movie, frankly. I thought everybody was noteworthy in that. And I saw Conclave and the very strong performances, which you've come to expect, but from Ray Fiennes and John Lithgow and Stanley Tucci, and again some actors I wasn't familiar with. Um, I thought that was a very strong ensemble. But a lot of times when I go to movies, I'm going to Film Forum to see some old movie that is not currently up for awards.
Those are great too. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Michael. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
thank you, Abe.